The kiss that saved her life wasn't supposed to happen. As Eliza Blackwell's throat closed and her vision darkened on the back seat of his taxi, Mike Reynolds made a split-second decision that would change both their lives forever. What began as a desperate act to save a stranger became Boston's most unexpected love story, one that would challenge the city's deepest social divides and prove that sometimes, fate arrives in the most unlikely package. If you're moved by this story of love against all odds, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true-life inspirations that remind us what really matters. Mike Reynolds checked his rearview mirror for the 5th time in as many minutes. The woman in his back seat hadn't moved, her head resting against the window as rain streaked down the glass. Her breathing seemed labored, but plenty of his passengers dozed off after late nights at fancy downtown events. "Ma'am? We're about 5 minutes from Beacon Hill," he called back, adjusting his route to avoid construction on Commonwealth Avenue. When she didn't respond, a knot formed in his stomach. "Ma'am?" The elegant woman in the midnight blue evening gown hadn't given him a specific address, just mumbled Beacon Hill before collapsing into his back seat. Her clutch had fallen open, revealing an EpiPen that had rolled onto the floor. That's when Mike noticed the angry red hives spreading across her exposed neck and shoulders. He pulled over immediately, heart hammering against his ribs. 7 years as a single father had taught him to recognize an allergic reaction. His son Jamie had the same terrifying symptoms whenever he encountered peanuts. "Ma'am. Can you hear me?" Mike scrambled into the back seat. Her breathing was becoming more strained, her lips taking on a bluish tint. He grabbed the EpiPen, but to his horror, discovered it was empty, the safety already removed, the device already deployed. The woman's eyes fluttered open briefly. "Help," she whispered, before losing consciousness. Mike's hands trembled as he called 911, reporting their location on Starro Drive. "Severe allergic reaction. The ambulance is at least 8 minutes out," the dispatcher warned. 8 minutes. Too long. Mike had seen his son's allergist demonstrate the procedure countless times. When Jamie forgot his EpiPen at a baseball game and accidentally ate a cookie with peanut oil, another parent had saved him by administering an antihistamine medication through a kiss, transferring the medicine from their mouth to Jamie's when nothing else was available. Mike fumbled through the woman's purse, finding a blister pack of emergency antihistamines. He popped 2 tablets into his own mouth, crushing them with his teeth, and then did the only thing he could think of, he pressed his lips to hers, transferring the medicine as gently as possible. It was hardly a kiss, more a desperate medical intervention, but as he pulled away, her eyes fluttered open. She gasped, drawing in a ragged breath as the medicine began to work. "Stay with me," Mike urged, holding her hand until the ambulance arrived. "My name's Mike. I'm going to make sure you're okay." He had no idea he was speaking to Eliza Blackwell, sole heiress to the Blackwell financial empire, whose family controlled half the real estate in downtown Boston. And he certainly had no idea that someone had captured the entire scene on their phone from a passing car, or that by morning, "Taxi driver kisses unconscious billionaire" would be trending across every social media platform in New England. Eliza Blackwell woke in Massachusetts General Hospital with her mother hovering anxiously beside her bed and her father arguing with someone in the hallway. "The doctors say you had anaphylaxis," her mother explained, clutching Eliza's hand. "From the shellfish at the charity gala. Your EpiPen malfunctioned." "How did I get here?" Eliza asked, her throat still raw. Her mother's expression tightened. "A taxi driver brought you. He apparently administered your antihistamine medication in a rather unorthodox manner." Before Eliza could ask what that meant, her father stormed into the room, his face flushed with anger. "The lawyers are handling it," he announced. "We'll sue that driver for everything he's worth. Assault charges at minimum." "What are you talking about?" Eliza croaked. Her father thrust his phone at her. On the screen was a video with millions of views showing a man, presumably her taxi driver, leaning over her unconscious form and pressing his lips to hers. He kissed you while you were unconscious, her father fumed. In what world is that acceptable? He saved my life, Eliza whispered, the reality of how close she'd come to dying sinking in. Dad, I couldn't breathe. My EpiPen failed. That doesn't give some random man the right to. To what? Save your daughter? A new voice joined the conversation as Dr. Patel entered the room. Mr. and Mrs. Blackwell, I've reviewed the case. What that driver did was actually a recognized emergency procedure when no other options exist. He administered the antihistamine orally when your daughter couldn't swallow. It likely kept her alive until paramedics arrived. Eliza's father wasn't convinced. We don't even know who this man is. Actually, we do, Dr. Patel replied. He's still here. He wanted to make sure Ms. Blackwell was all right before he left. Something warm bloomed in Eliza's chest. I want to see him, she said. I want to thank him. Her parents exchanged alarmed glances, but Eliza was already sitting up, determined. Either you bring him in, or I'll go find him myself. 5 minutes later, Mike Reynolds stood awkwardly in the doorway of her hospital room, his taxi driver's jacket rumpled, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he'd been there all night. You stayed, Eliza said softly. Mike nodded. I needed to know you were okay. You saved my life. He shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. Anyone would have done the same. No, Eliza said firmly. They wouldn't have. She extended her hand. I'm Eliza Blackwell. Mike Reynolds. He hesitated before shaking her hand, acutely aware of her father's glare. Thank you, Mike Reynolds, Eliza said, ignoring her parents' presence. I owe you everything. The Boston Globe ran the story the next day, Taxi Driver's Kiss of Life Saves Blackwell Heiress. The more sensationalist outlets took a different angle. Cinderella story, did billionaire beauty find love in the back of a cab? Mike was horrified. He'd never wanted attention, he'd just been doing what anyone with knowledge of severe allergies would do. But suddenly his phone wouldn't stop ringing, reporters camped outside his modest Dorchester apartment, and worst of all, his 9-year-old son Jamie was being hounded at school. Dad, everyone's saying you kissed a princess, Jamie said over breakfast 3 days after the incident. Did you? Mike sighed, pouring more cereal into Jamie's bowl. I helped a woman who was having an allergic reaction, buddy. Like when Coach Dan helped you at the baseball game, remember? It wasn't a real kiss. Jamie considered this while crunching his cereal. But she was rich? I guess so. That doesn't matter though. Is she pretty? Mike hesitated. The truth was, in the brief moment when Eliza Blackwell had opened her eyes and looked at him, he'd been struck by how beautiful she was, not just her features, but something in her gaze, a kindness that seemed at odds with her obvious wealth and status. She seemed nice, he said finally. Now finish up. We're running late. As they headed out to his taxi, his livelihood and now the center of unwanted attention, Mike noticed a sleek black car parked across the street. A man in a suit approached as they exited the building. Mr. Reynolds? Ms. Blackwell would like to speak with you. Mike instinctively pulled Jamie closer. I'm taking my son to school. Of course. Ms. Blackwell understands. She's simply asked if you might meet her afterward. She'd like to thank you properly. Mike hesitated. I don't want any money or publicity. The man smiled slightly. She thought you might say that. She's at the cafe on Dorchester Avenue, Brewer's Corner. She'll wait until 9:30. After dropping Jamie at school, Mike sat in his taxi for a long time, debating. Finally, curiosity won out. He drove to Brewer's Corner, a modest local cafe where he sometimes grabbed coffee between fares. Eliza Blackwell sat alone at a corner table, dressed in jeans and a simple sweater that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Without the evening gown and makeup, she looked younger, more approachable, though no less striking. She spotted him immediately, her face lighting up with a smile that made his heart skip. "You came," she said as he approached. "I'm not sure why I did," Mike admitted, sliding into the seat across from her. "Because you're curious," Eliza replied. "And because you're kind. You stayed at the hospital all night to make sure I was okay." Mike shrugged. "Seemed like the right thing to do." "My father wanted to sue you," she said bluntly. "I told him I'd disown him if he tried." Mike couldn't help but laugh. "Wow. Family dinners must be fun at your house. You have no idea." She smiled, then grew serious. "I'm sorry about the media circus. My family's used to it, but you shouldn't have to deal with that." "It's been challenging," Mike admitted. "Especially for my son." "You have a son?" Interest sparked in her eyes. "Jamie. He's 9. Smart as a whip and allergic to peanuts, which is why I recognized what was happening to you." Eliza nodded. The doctor explained. "You knew exactly what to do because you've lived with it." "Sometimes the universe puts us in the right place at the right time," Mike said. "I believe that," Eliza replied softly. "Which is why I'm here. I want to thank you properly. You don't owe me anything." "Not money," she clarified quickly. "But maybe, dinner? Just to talk. I'd like to get to know the man who saved my life." Mike studied her, trying to understand her angle. "Why would someone like you want to have dinner with someone like me?" "Because in 32 years, no one has ever helped me without wanting something in return," Eliza said simply. "Until you." Their first dinner was at a small Italian restaurant in the North End where Mike knew the owner. He'd insisted on choosing the place, uncomfortable with the thought of being out of his element in one of the upscale establishments Eliza usually frequented. "So what do you do when you're not saving lives in your taxi?" Eliza asked as they shared a plate of calamari. "I drive my taxi," Mike replied with a smile. "And I raise Jamie. That's pretty much my life." "His mother isn't in the picture?" Mike's expression clouded. "She left when he was 2. Decided parenthood wasn't for her." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Jamie and I make a good team." He took a sip of his water. "What about you? What does a Blackwell heiress do all day?" Eliza laughed. "Contrary to popular belief, I actually work. I run the Blackwell Foundation, our family's charitable organization. We focus on educational opportunities for underprivileged kids." "That's not what I expected. Let me guess. You thought I spent my days shopping and attending galas?" "The night we met, you were at a gala," Mike pointed out. "Fundraising for the foundation," Eliza countered. "Those events are work, not pleasure. I'd much rather be in a classroom with the kids we help." As the evening progressed, Mike found himself increasingly drawn to Eliza. She listened intently when he talked about Jamie, asked thoughtful questions about his life, and spoke passionately about her work. There was none of the condescension he'd expected, no sense that she viewed him as a charity case or a novelty. When he drove her home to her Beacon Hill townhouse, she hesitated before getting out of the taxi. "I had a wonderful time," she said. "So did I," Mike admitted, surprised by how much he meant it. "Would it be presumptuous to ask if we could do this again?" Mike smiled. "Probably. But I'd like that." Their second date was at the New England Aquarium with Jamie in tow. Mike had been hesitant to introduce them so soon, but Jamie had been begging to meet the lady from the news, and Eliza had insisted she wanted to meet him too. "So you're allergic to peanuts like me?" Jamie asked as they watched the penguins. "Shellfish," Eliza corrected. "But it's similar. My throat closes up and I can't breathe." "That's scary," Jamie said solemnly. "One time at baseball, I ate a cookie and my face got all puffy. Coach Dan had to give me medicine." "Your dad told me about that," Eliza said. That's how he knew how to help me. Jamie beamed up at his father. My dad's a hero. Yes, Eliza agreed, her eyes meeting Mike's. He absolutely is. Later, as Jamie ran ahead to look at the sea turtles, Mike found himself standing close to Eliza, their hands occasionally brushing. He's wonderful, Eliza said. You've done an amazing job with him. He makes it easy, Mike replied. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, Eliza said carefully, there's a program through my foundation that offers scholarships to private schools in the city. Jamie would qualify. Mike stiffened. We're doing fine with his school. I didn't mean. I don't need charity, Eliza. Her face fell. That's not what I was offering. It's a program any child can apply for. But you'd make sure Jamie got in, right? Mike's voice had an edge to it. Because you feel you owe me something? No, Eliza said firmly. Because he's bright and deserves every opportunity. But I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm sorry. Mike sighed, running a hand through his hair. I'm the one who should apologize. I'm just sensitive about providing for him. His mother always said I wouldn't be able to give him the life he deserved. Eliza placed a hand on his arm. From what I can see, you're giving him exactly what he deserves, love, stability, and a father who would do anything for him. That's worth more than any private school. Mike covered her hand with his own. Thank you for understanding. By their fifth date, the media frenzy had mostly died down, though occasionally someone would recognize them and snap a photo. Boston society was abuzz with speculation about the unlikely pair, the billionaire heiress and the taxi driver, but Eliza seemed unfazed by the gossip. My parents are hosting a charity gala next weekend, she mentioned as they walked along the Charles River. Would you consider being my date? Mike hesitated. I don't exactly own a tuxedo. We can take care of that. Eliza. Not charity, she insisted. Consider it a selfish request. I need someone sane to talk to at these things or I'll lose my mind. Mike laughed. When you put it that way, how can I refuse? The night of the gala arrived, and Mike found himself standing in front of the mirror in a perfectly tailored tuxedo that Eliza had insisted on having made for him. Jamie sat on his bed, watching with wide eyes. You look like James Bond, Dad, he declared. I feel ridiculous, Mike muttered, adjusting his bow tie. Is Eliza your girlfriend now? Jamie asked. The question caught Mike off guard. I don't know, buddy. We're friends who enjoy spending time together. But you like her, right? Like her? Mike smiled at his son's phrasing. Yeah, I like her. But our lives are very different. Mom said you weren't good enough for her, Jamie said suddenly. I heard her tell Grandma on the phone. Mike's heart sank. Jamie's mother occasionally called her parents, who then relayed information to Jamie. When did you talk to Grandma? Yesterday. Mom saw you and Eliza in a magazine. She was mad. Mike sat beside his son. Your mom is entitled to her opinion. But here's what matters, Eliza and I enjoy each other's company. Whether anything comes of that isn't important right now. I think she's